The title of this video is "You Are Amazing" and Other Nonsense. I'm probably going to lose some friends over this, and that's okay.
He almost lost his partner. No, I'm joking.
But it's so this is not, it's not really having a dig at anyone, but I want to point out something. So it's a pointing out video, because there is this, perhaps it's a stage of development. We see it really in the New Age spirituality, where the mantra is that you are love, you are lovable, you are amazing, you are beautiful, and there's probably a whole lot of workshops and classes and things to help convince you of this, and it might be very supportive for certain people at certain stages in their life. I feel people who've had a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma, there might be a point of this where it's actually very helpful for them, so I'm not having a dig at you if that's the case. What I'm trying to point out is that this stage has a start and it also has an end, so this is about the ending of that. And it's also, there's a certain danger in this, so I'm going to say why. Because as you do all these workshops to try and convince yourself, there's part of you that doesn't feel loved. You had all these things and you say, I am beautiful, to yourself in the mirror, and maybe you go to a goddess workshop in Bali and you dance together and you tell each other like how amazing and how beautiful you are, and you play Beyonce. I don't know, I've never been, this is how I imagine goddess workshops in Bali, but this is what I kind of think happens. Maybe it's not. You go girl. So as everyone's doing this is great, and it doesn't really work because you cannot convince yourself that you're okay, that if you feel this unworthiness inside, there's nothing you can really do in terms of these steps to shift that. The more you try and say this to yourself, the more you try and prove it, the other voice comes in, which is like, well, we all kind of know it's bullshit. It's potentially possible that you are living with this mask, that you're projecting this fake image of feeling confident, of feeling amazing, this new person, I feel sexy now, and we post videos of ourselves online, we try and get YouTube followers or Instagram or more likes, more affirmations outside that cover this sense of I'm a shit, you know, I feel terrible about myself, but if I cover it with enough of this stuff on the outside, maybe I will feel okay. Maybe if I convince other people that I'm amazing, slowly I will start to believe it myself. And this doesn't work because the conscious mind trying to do this is a small percentage compared to the huge unconscious mind we have. And the I am lovable, I am okay, I am sexy, I am beautiful is just the opposite side of the coin of I am ugly, I am whatever, I am horrible, I hate myself. It's the same coin. So the more we try and do one side in the attempt to overcome the sense of lack inside, the more the other side rears its kind of ugly head, and we're faced with that shadow of it. So the point of this is that it's a game that you cannot win. This mask that we want to create, this image, this self-image, isn't real. We can put a whole lot of energy and time into healing it and placing plasters over it and trying to make it beautiful and polish it, but it still doesn't make it real. It's false to begin with. The whole projection of what we're trying to do to put ourselves in the center of the universe, because we feel lack inside, we feel not good enough, we feel unloved, we want to cover that and prove somehow that we are loved, that we are okay. It's the motivation is off from the beginning. And actually, instead of trying to force ourselves into the center of the universe, the cosmos, to realize that the cosmos is the center of us. There's a turnaround which can happen where you realize the whole thing is an illusion to begin with. Beautiful illusion, one that we can use to grow through various structures of consciousness, structures of reality. We can expand ourselves with this identity. But there's also a very important waking up path, which sees through the whole game to begin with and realizes that you cannot ever win the game. There's a beautiful koan, Zen koan, about someone describing how can we put a goose into a bottle as a chick and then feed it through the bottle, and then it grows and grows and grows until its kind of head is sticking out the neck of the bottle. How do we get the goose out of the bottle without breaking the bottle or killing the goose? And this is the situation that you're in with this narcissism around the self-identity. Like, there's nothing you can ever do to get it out of there. It's an unwinnable game until you realize that the goose was never in the bottle to begin with. This is the answer to that koan through kind of I'm cheating, like through lots of introspection. There's a sudden moment of liberation where you see through the whole illusion of the self to begin with. You see that it's a game. It's a fascinating game, but you can play it with so much more joy when you know it's a game. Where you're stuck in the game and you're identified and fused with the game, then it's really just suffering. So, would you like to say anything on that?
Well, I understand what you're also saying is something that we call spiritual bypass, which is when we are trying to repress our emotions and go immediately into the high bliss and the self-love. I am the fan of self-love, and I'm really trying to bring as many and test as many practices as possible to bring this self-love. I feel that all of us were born and we didn't get, not many of us got the unconditional love from our parents. So this core wound that we all carry, which is not being good enough, not being lovable, it is sometimes coming to the surface, and then repressing it by affirming or telling to the mirror, I love you, you're amazing, will be like a spiritual bypass. And what I feel to distinguish here is that we can do these practices or act from different places. So we can post our photos, videos, or come to show up in the life from a place of lack, from a place of I need to prove something, I need to get this attention from the outside in order to feel good. And then it is forced, then it takes a lot of energy, and then there is a huge, there can be a huge breakdown, there can be also a huge disappointment when we don't get it. Whilst we can also create or post even these beautiful photos of us, selfies, from a place of overflowing love, of something that is not done, that just is. And this is something to be distinguished, not to criticize everyone who is putting selfies on Facebook, but just to be aware and just to have this distinction that we can do it from different places. And what you're mentioning about narcissism is very common just now, and we get hooked on the outside world things that we are dependent on. So then we go to the workshops, or we're with a partner, and then we're hooked if they approve us, or if we go to the workshops and we feel this bliss and everything, and it's fantastic, and then we go back home and it's gone. And then we have this conditioning that only to feel like that I have to get this or fly there or do this. Whilst as James just said, there is a different option. There is an option where it comes from overflowing love and just being.
And so I want to make the distinction between self-care, like looking after the self, taking care of the body, eating well, being healthy, doing things to nourish ourselves as part of the cosmos, is very different from that kind of narcissism which is playing out. And I feel it's the narcissism it's very damaging to oneself. There's a lot of suffering in it, but it also creates a stink around you. It smells for everyone else as well. And it's almost this place as we're moving towards integral consciousness. If you know a little bit about that, you can watch some other videos or check out Awaken as Love to find out more about that. There's a stage of consciousness we're stepping into now, which is really challenging. That last thing to go is this narcissism in the postmodern world, which has become overly fixated on the self, really. Yeah. And the way out of that is to stop focusing on the self so much. It's service. It's I'm growing up. It's to realize that the goose is out of the bottle, and actually to then see, like, how do I show up as love? How do I enact love in the world, rather than how can I get this love because it's not really there? How can I actually just become that? Because then you become a vehicle or a vessel for it, and it starts to fill up naturally. So this is a radical technique. Instead of trying to patch up the ego and trying to make it feel good and sprinkling some nice things on top of it, this awakening actually helps us see through the game. It's a radical step to realize that it's not even real to begin with. And that's the radical self-love, is to see through the self, to see through the nature of things, and to wake up. Then when you wake up, there's no problem, because it is just love. So that's my little rant over for today. We'll probably have some more. Yeah, and we're going to make some more videos on some of these topics that we've been exploring with other friends in Awaken as Love, so you can get a taste of these things that we're into.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.